Yeah, over here.
On some question mentioned detail. I'd like to ask you that U.S. troops invaded Iraq in order to democratize the country, and to what extent and how the prisoners abuse case of Abu Ghraib have the Iraqis to be more democratic. And my other question is, why the United States of America? I guess you can reveal from these questions that I came from Europe. So why the United States of America? Why does it think that it can invade countries preemptively while no other countries on the globe think that it's legitimate, and no other countries can see any kind of even threat? So please.
Well, Abu Ghraib obviously is a tragedy for the United States and a tragedy for the Iraqis who are involved in it. There's absolutely nothing to be proud of from what those military personnel and civilians did in Abu Ghraib. And what the United States will do with them is prosecute them and punish them severely. That's what we should do. What they did violated our military laws and traditions and offended our sensibilities. It was an embarrassment to the country. There's no question about it. We're not going to cover it up. We're not going to sweep it under the rug. We talk about it in public all the time, and we will prosecute the people who carried those offenses out, and we should be. That's what the United States can be proud of, and that's the example to set for the Iraqis and the rest of the world. We don't cover it up. And in a free society, when people act in the ways of human frailty, you deal with it. We've never said we were perfect. God knows most people believe that, and Abu Ghraib proved it. We will do the only thing we can do, but the thing we have to do in response to it, and that's mete out appropriate punishment. Now, in terms of the question about preemption, there is simply no doubt and no dispute among international legal scholars that preemption is a legitimate action by states in certain circumstances, and we can go through what those circumstances are. The United States has never made and has not made in our most recent national security strategy any claim to a doctrine of preemption any different from what has been true historically for the United States or for anybody else. And preemption, like self-defense, which is frequently invoked for the use of military force, has to be justified by the facts and circumstances. I do not consider the attack on Iraq to be an example of preemption. And if it is, it's the slowest moving case of preemption in history. It took 12 years of Iraqi violation of Security Council resolutions, which people profess to think should be complied with, 12 years of non-compliance before the use of force. As I say, I think that was fully justified, and in any event, didn't amount to preemption anyway. Yeah.
I was wondering, you said that there are 6-party talks going on between North Korea and other countries, and I know that they're doing things to put an end to Iran's nuclear capabilities. I was wondering if they don't comply with those demands, is all we're going to do put sanctions, impose sanctions on them? Because I know they aren't quite as dangerous as Saddam was. Or are we going to take action against them, or is there no plan for that at this point?
Well, I think our intention in both the case of Iran and North Korea is to resolve the issue peacefully and diplomatically. But both North Korea and Iran hold the key to their future in their own hands. If they were to do what Libya did and give up the pursuit of nuclear weapons, which both of them began to undertake in violation of their treaty obligations under the Non-Proliferation Treaty, we could see an outcome for them roughly equivalent to the way things are playing out with Iran. But our bottom line is we do not accept that these countries, which have demonstrated in the case of Iran support for terrorism over decades, and similarly North Korea, should be allowed to have nuclear weapons, and we're determined to stop it. We hope that we can resolve it through diplomatic means. We're prepared to go to sanctions if the Iranians and the North Koreans don't materially change their behavior. And in terms of going beyond that, that's one reason why we say we never take any option off the table. Let them worry about what we'll do next. Yes, sir.
John Rank, Chemistry Department. You just brought up the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Would you speak of the President's support of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty?
Yes, the President at the National Defense University speech that I mentioned a few moments ago pointed out that there are substantial loopholes in the Non-Proliferation Treaty. When it was created, when the International Atomic Energy Agency was created, I think the fairest thing we can say is we were naive about the risks that the spread of nuclear technology would have for countries that are determined to acquire nuclear weapons capability in violation of the commitments they made when they joined the NPT as non-nuclear weapon states. And what the situation in which this can arise is as follows. Most activities under the nuclear fuel cycle are legitimate under the Non-Proliferation Treaty if they are declared to the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, and if they're conducted under appropriate IAEA safeguards. So that currently states can engage in the conversion of uranium into uranium hexafluoride gas. They can enrich the gas. They can use it as in nuclear fuel. Rods use it in nuclear reactors. The spent fuel rods come out and are sent away. All of this conducted theoretically under IAEA safeguards. But if you look at what countries like Iran have done, they have attempted to proceed under the guise of being in compliance with the Non-Proliferation Treaty, all the while developing the intellectual know-how to duplicate these activities in a clandestine fashion. So what the President proposed was that we strengthen the Non-Proliferation Treaty by eliminating this loophole where countries could get the technology and the know-how that they needed purportedly legitimately, but get very close to a breakout capacity from the treaty and then get to nuclear weapon status very quickly. That was one of the things that we achieved at the G8 summit at Sea Island this year. The G8 agreed on a moratorium on the transfer of any uranium enrichment or plutonium reprocessing technology to countries while we develop stricter standards against this technology, going to countries like Iran, which are pursuing nuclear weapons clandestinely and which can't be trusted with simply the peaceful, the so-called peaceful use of this technology. It's a flaw in the non-proliferation regime and one that we have taken the lead in trying to close.
But you've spoken about other nations' obligations under this treaty. What about the United States' obligations under the treaty and the President's support thereof?
There are 5 legitimate nuclear weapon states under the non